The United Nations Security Council has adopted a resolution to renew sanctions on Somalia and Eritrea. 10 of the 15 members voted in favor of the move, while the remaining 5 abstained. The measure is part of efforts to prevent Al-Shabaab from acquiring more weapons, as our UN correspondent Liling Tan explains.
By a majority vote, the Security Council has renewed the arms embargo against Somalia and Eritrea, with several member states citing the continued threat from Al-Shabaab as a key reason. Ambassador Matthew Rycroft of the UK's mission to the UN, which drafted this new resolution, told the Council that the sanctions have prevented the extremist group from getting weapons. US Ambassador Isabel Coleman said the resolution reflects the Security Council's commitment to eliminate funding for Al-Shabaab, and the sanctions are an important part of the international community's response to the situation in the Horn of Africa. But China was among the 5 member states that abstained from voting. China's Deputy UN Ambassador Wu Haitao said the sanctions were not conducive to strengthening cooperation among countries in the region. And he also asked the Security Council to take into account developments on the ground and adjust the embargo accordingly. While the Council largely agreed on keeping sanctions in place for Somalia, there were some disagreements on Eritrea. Eritrea has called for the lifting of UN sanctions, a move backed by several Council members. But an October report by the UN Somalia and Eritrea Monitoring Group found that even though there was no evidence Eritrea was supporting Al-Shabaab, its government has not cooperated fully with the monitors and has not allowed them to visit the country in 5 years. The US says Eritrea's lack of cooperation must change if its calls for the lifting of sanctions are to be taken seriously. United Nations sanctions were first imposed on Eritrea in December 2009 over its role in Somalia and its refusal to withdraw troops following clashes in Djibouti. And the embargo on Somalia was first imposed in 1992 in response to the civil war and the humanitarian crisis. Liling Tan, CCTV, New York.
Well, let's bring you more on this. We're now joined by CCTV's Abdulaziz Billo, live for us in Mogadishu. Abdulaziz, of course, we know that Al-Shabaab is the target of these sanctions, but these sanctions may very well have far-reaching consequences. Are there concerns that this will affect development moving forward?
Well, Lindy, as Liling Tan has put it there very clearly, the sanction, according to experts here and according to authorities, they are saying the sanction has proved as has played an important role rather in curtailing and ending the Al-Shabaab financing and also restriction of Al-Shabaab from getting weapons from neighboring regions, especially Yemen, where the Al-Qaeda remains a potent threat there. But then again, the authorities here have expressed worries about the recent renewal of the sanction by the UN Security Council. They are saying that it does not reflect the real situation on the ground here. Authorities here in Mogadishu are citing the security challenges facing the government and its efforts to rebuild the army. It says it needs a powerful army that can be able to secure Somalia completely. And then again, it's citing instances where the African Union force, AMISOM, has played an important role in kicking out Al-Shabaab from all these remaining towns and villages, and it's saying that for the Somali authorities to be able to secure such areas, it needs a strong military, well-trained, well-funded and well-equipped, so that AMISOM, once they take control of a town, the Somali force can be able to solidify and seize that area so that AMISOM can advance further. And then again, as we have heard, China abstained from voting in that vote yesterday in New York. Now, it's citing the security challenges facing Somalia, but then again, it's saying that China remains a powerful friend for Africa, and it's cited the instances that the situation on the ground is improving because the Somali forces, jointly with AMISOM, can be able to remove the Al-Shabaab from the remaining towns and villages. But then again, this new sanction deals a major blow for authorities here in their efforts to rebuild the army.
Well, as you say there, China among the 5 countries that abstained from voting, but with 10 nations voting in favor of the sanctions, it is a decision that the Somali government will have to accept. Has there been any formal reaction from the government?
Lindy, authorities here are yet to comment officially on the stance by the UN Security Council to renew the sanction, the decades-long sanction that was imposed on Somalia. We understand these sanctions were put into effect once Somalia plunged into anarchy. This is in early 1990. So since then, authorities here have said that there was no government in place so that the sanctions could be lifted. But then again, the federal government here in Mogadishu, it's saying that it's been trying to rebuild and integrate local and clan militias into forming a powerful military so that it can be able to better tackle and better fight the Al-Shabaab. It's saying that the Al-Shabaab is not a threat compared to the way it was during 2009 and 2012. It's citing the efforts made by the US forces, the AMISOM and the Somali partners in fighting the Al-Shabaab, and it's saying all it needs right now is for the international partners to be able to live up to the expectation. It's saying that if the international community doesn't work on rebuilding the Somali National Army, then it will be harder for the security forces in the country to take charge of the national security once AMISOM forces pulled out. But that has been the comments echoed time and again by authorities. They are saying if at all the Somali government is to be able to secure the whole country, then it needs the support of the international community in rebuilding its national army to take charge of the national security, Lindy.
All right, Abdulaziz Billo, thanks very much for that. Coming there live, of course, from Mogadishu.